Another governing body update with another clarification and another video response. This time, the update is about college, going to uni. We all know, if you were raised a Jehovah's Witness, that was majorly frowned upon. And now they've decided to change that mentality and the rule. You notice they're very selective about what they say. They don't say that they're changing any rules. They just say that they're clarifying their understanding. Let's talk about how problematic that is, and really just a slap in the face. Because if you, as a child, got in trouble for something consistently, your parents grounded you for doing something that you knew wasn't really wrong, it was just an arbitrary, really stupid rule that they had, and then years down the line, they change that rule and act like there were no real consequences, but they don't admit that they were wrong. They say they're clarifying your understanding of things. We understood loud and clear. Excuse me. We understood. But now you're clarifying your understanding because you don't want to admit that you were wrong. That's what these leaders are doing here. But it's a slap in the face because the people that they're doing it to are not children. They're adults. So they clarify this understanding when this entire time they've been keeping people from going to college, from getting educations that could help them to have a high-paying job. You know, they don't want people to be materialistic. They want people to live a simple life and put the kingdom first. And if you're going to a university and have a lot of classes and homework, naturally you're not going to have as much time for meetings and field service, right? A lot of times in classes, you're required to be around your classmates a lot because you could have group projects. You know, you could have help offered to you by your classmates who might be doing better in the class, whatever the case may be. And now they're changing their tune, and I'm wondering why. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out why now. What changed their mind? Because are they getting sued for people not going to college? And at this point, like, you have a generation of people who might be struggling, particularly in the American economy, because they're just a window washer at the age of 45, when they could have gotten an education. You know, you have people who, for example, I know someone that went to Bethel instead of going to a university, and he does window washing. And it pays well enough, but you could be getting more money, right? If you went to a university. A lot of witnesses, if they don't make their own business, which some witnesses do, if they don't make their own business, they have menial jobs. A lot of people, if they pioneer, they work at a coffee store, coffee shop. That's very common. I didn't realize that window washing was like globally common. I knew in America it was very common for a brother who was a window washer to be an elder. But I don't want to laugh at that. I feel like that's kind of disrespectful to those people, because if you're making an honest wage with you're a hard worker, it is what it is. It's not your fault that you were prevented from going to college because this religion, this organization frowned upon it. And it's not just that it was frowned upon. You were shamed for going to college, for wanting a higher education. It was painted in a way that, Jehovah offers the highest of education, when really that doesn't make any sense, because the Bible is really not that deep, number one. And number two, it can be hard to get into those programs that Jehovah's Witnesses offer, like Gilead and the SKE, other schools. And especially if you're a woman, you can't even go to some of those schools. If you're not, I think before they had changed the rules, I don't think single sisters were going to any of these schools, besides possibly Gilead. But it's just, I'm just curious why now. And the thing is, you have, like I said, led an entire generation to just be broke. To be not necessarily destitute, but as simple you've led them to have as simple as a life as you wanted them to have. And now all of a sudden, college is not frowned upon. What is that? It's garbage. It's what it is. The thing is, every time they make these updates and clarify the understanding, first of all, they're not admitting that they were wrong. And second of all, they're showing that people could have made their own personal choices all along. If these things were personal decisions all along, then admit that you were wrong, dumbass. I can't stand that. They have no accountability. None. Admit that you were wrong. And even in the video, they have to try to keep control of people's minds, regardless of the changes that are being made. But in the video, he said, while there are still dangers to higher education, like what? People waking up from Christianity? Could that be a danger? People seeing that there is no higher education in the Bible? What are you learning? Fairy tales? Fables? Fanciful stories? Murderous, immoral, crazy stories? Are you kidding? Why do you want people to have higher education now? So you can have more lawyers to defend the organization when you don't handle child sexual assault well? Is that why? Or could it be that you have these undercover Bethelites on Reddit who are noticing that they're paying for people to go to college to become lawyers for the organization? And maybe other people are catching on to that who are still inside of the organization and wondering, well, if you're paying for them to go to school, why can't we go to school? Silly. And what are you learning at the meetings? Nothing. The same gobbledygook over and over and over and over and over every single week. How special Jehovah's name is. How important his sovereignty is. How important it is to go to the meetings. What else? You're studying the Bible story book right now for children. So you're going over the same stories that everybody has known since birth, since they were born into it and have been indoctrinated since the womb. What kind of education are these people getting? Then you're getting taught how to preach to people. Nobody's listening. You're getting taught how to stand at a cart in the middle of the city. Nobody's going up to that cart. 99% of the people are not having conversations with anyone, especially if you're in a first world country. They don't care. You're learning how to find common ground. Like, the knowledge is limited. The Bible, limited. How many ways you can teach people how to talk to people is limited. If people don't care, at the end of the day, they don't care. And a lot of people are apathetic in a lot of ways, not just about religion, but about politics and life in general. I feel like people just want to mind their business and live their life and just act like things aren't going badly in this world. And they are. People are apathetic. And a lot of y'all are just wasting your time. You could have been going to college. And because it was so frowned upon, you didn't. Because you got pressure from the organization and that trickled down through the elders and your fellow Jehovah's Witnesses. Now you're living paycheck to paycheck. And I left Jehovah's Witnesses and I have an associate's degree and I have a certificate in graphic design. I'm not using any of those. Nobody said that going to college guarantees you a high paying job. That realistically, they may not be true. There are people who have degrees, 4-year degrees, who don't have a job or who might be working at the same coffee shop as you. But the fact is, they shouldn't control what you do, what personal decisions you make, what education you get. They should not have a say of what you do with your personal life. If it's not something that's found to be sinful in the Bible, if you can't find scriptures that say going to get a higher education is wrong, then why are you listening to these people? Why? How many times are they going to have to clarify their understanding for you before you realize that they're doing the thinking for you? It's a slap in the face. If you're an adult, other adults shouldn't be deciding for you what your understanding of something is. All of these decisions, from beards to pants to higher education to toasting, y'all could have figured that shit out for yourselves. And this is not an insult towards the people in the organization because they're brainwashed and they don't realize it, unfortunately. But once you wake up, it's really infuriating to see the amount of control they have and the lack of accountability that they have. They control the membership. They control the sheep, as they even put it. And these people follow like cattle. They follow every single decision and they praise it because the leadership has taught them to praise these decisions because they think it's coming from God. Jehovah's chariot is on the move, and now he's allowing beards, pants, toasting, and higher education. All this shit that you didn't need an allowance for, you didn't need permission for. Growing your facial hair, wearing pants, clinking glasses, going to college to become more intelligent and aware, to understand the world better. They really want to keep you in that biblical bubble. They really want to, and they're losing that grip. Slowly, that bubble is dissolving. But it might just get popped. Because sooner or later, people are just going to wake up. Hopefully. Every single decision that they make, with the lack of accountability that they do it with, is waking people up. I know for a fact. And it's going to bite them in the ass. They keep making these updates and decisions. It's going to keep waking people up because people are going to realize you have all this control. We had repercussions because of you socially because of these decisions. And now you're acting like none of that matters. It's a slap in the face. And I need y'all to wake up. It's a slap in the face. How dare they just keep making personal decisions for you? They're clarifying your understanding. Whenever they say, oh, we're clarifying our understanding, that's them not being able to say that they were wrong. They were wrong. And one last major point. If they're allowing this, part of the reason why they didn't want people to go to college is because the end was right around the corner. What happened to that? Don't they keep saying the end is right around the corner? Why would they encourage people to take an education course that's going to take years to complete? If the end is right around the corner and could come tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, you may not be able to finish those college courses because the end is going to come. I was told I wouldn't finish high school, and I'm 31. I am the age that my dad had me at. 31. Crazy. I'm 31 years old. That end is not real. It's not coming. And if the higher ups are realizing that they really don't know when this end is coming and they can't predict it, they've stopped making predictions, and now they're encouraging people to do things that are going to take years to complete, well, maybe you should look into if that end is even real. If those end time prophecies that Jews made thousands of years ago is real. It's not. And I am sorry that people have been hoping in these things for so long and wasting their one life away. But this is the one life you have. Forget this organization and enjoy it. Forget Christianity and enjoy it. What is Christianity actually doing for the globe? What is it actually doing? Sure, it might give you hope and a purpose, but you can find that outside of religion. And I get it. I don't hope in humankind. I hope in some humans. But the average human being is too stupid and careless and just, yeah. But the good human beings, those are the people that I hope in. And I need to hope in myself. It's hard to have hope in this world. It really is. But nobody's coming to save us. Nobody. What is the final message that I want to get into this video? I don't know. I didn't really have like an outline. I covered all the points that I wanted to cover, but I don't have anything to offer people if they wake up besides ultimate freedom. Like, I personally don't have something to offer to you, but leaving Christianity, I've never been more free. I've never been more aware of life. I've never felt like, felt this amount of just freedom, just space to do what I want. I don't have to ask permission for anything. I don't have to ask forgiveness for anything. I don't have to feel bad about my every waking thought. I don't have to expect some kind of, destruction. None of that. That's real freedom. Like, I want to feel more connected to the earth and to other human beings. I don't feel divided against my fellow human beings because of them being in a different religion. Like, no, I don't have some kind of paradise or forever salvation to offer. I don't. But neither does anybody else. Because nobody has seen this forever. Nobody has seen heaven. Nobody's seen hell. Nobody has seen a resurrection. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen after. But we do know we have this one life. Are you going to keep wasting it away, letting other people control that life? You got one. And you're an adult. And you're letting other people make your decisions. Clarify your understanding. Couldn't be me. I hope people wake up. I really do.